In my previous video about Soulframe, I have said that the game has lots of potential. I specifically said that the vibe of a fantasy game, similar to Elden Ring, not as stressful as the Souls game is there, but there are work to be done with Soulframe. And I'm not going to sugarcoat anything and make the developer believe that they have created a wonderful game ready to be released as soon as possible. There has been talks that the game is set to release in 2025, but I really think it should be in development for one more year or so. As from what I experienced in the prelude, there are tons of features missing to make this a good game. This is just my opinion, but I really think that Digital Extremes should not mix or even advertise Soulframe with Warframe content, just like what they did in their latest TennoCon. The game is being put to shame by Warframe players because, admit it or not, it's not the game that they want and like to play. Soulframe is really different from Warframe, and I think that instead of showing off the game to the Warframe community, the developers should focus on showing it off to those players who like this kind of genre. I am talking about those players who plays a lot of Souls game. The game would be interesting for someone who plays Dark Soul a lot, as it's a free game with live service support, which means it will have constant update. And based from Digital Extremes' track record, they are one of the few developers who are trustworthy when it comes to the free-to-play space, as they make sure that all content and items can be acquired for free. With the exemption of premium skins and making the progression to craft materials faster, I really think that Soul players will be interested with this game, but before they do this, they should make sure that Soulframe is actually interesting and worth the time playing. Although the developers have made tremendous stride in improving the experience while playing the prelude of Soulframe, I honestly can say that it's not worth advertising right now, but instead needs a lot of features added so players will be interested. So, based on my experience playing the game, I really find the bird guide frustrating sometimes, as you will need to press G multiple times to know the location of your next objective. Mind you, the objectives randomly pop up, and if you are a new player, then you will sometimes get confused whether it's a main quest or a side objective. The idea is good that there will be no guiding hand and let the players explore the map at their own pace, just like in Elden Ring, but sometimes it's hard to understand what the characters are saying, especially if you are not a born English speaker. I really think that it's just my personal problem playing the game, but since they are adding a guiding system in the form of a bird, I really hope that they make some improvement on this. To be more specific, I don't like pressing G over and over again, and the bird guide should be made available until I found my next objective. They should do the same with the poppet you found while exploring a dungeon and encountering the mini-boss named Nimrod. The mouse will guide you to the next location, and you can simply use the key to ready your pack skill, and it will highlight the mouse. I really think that the guide should not disappear, and will work the same way as the poppet of Witch Verminia, as it's very annoying to see have to press the ability again and again. Also, the guiding system should be polished, as there are instances that the bird will halt in place after arriving in the location, and sometimes you would think that it's a bug, but it's not, as the location is an undercity dungeon. Another thing that they should work on, and my biggest concern so far, is the janky movement. The developers made a huge improvement to the movement of the game, and it's not as clunky as when I played it last March, but there are still weird movements in the game. There is still weird melee combo animation, the climbing animation in the game is hilarious, and your character seems to be floating in the air while walking, and it gets worse when you are rolling or dodging, as it feels like it's the same movement as playing Warframe. It may not be bad for Warframe, but it's weird in an action game like this, especially that the gameplay is more about precise movement and strikes to kill enemies, and not just obliterating everything with area of effect abilities. Now, I would also want to suggest something about the gameplay loop, but I think I was just comparing the game too much to Elden Ring. You see, one thing that makes Elden Ring really good is that there are points of interest wherein you fight bosses in the game, or you can fight mini-bosses, which happens to drop items that are useful. In Soulframe, there are only a few points of interest right now, and that is expected because it's only a beta and Digital Extremes wanted players to test out the overall feel of the game so they could make changes or addition based on player feedback. I want to suggest that Soulframe should do the same and instead should put more rewarding activities in the map so it won't feel like just a field wherein you run around and kill a bunch of trash mobs in the game. I want to suggest that they should at least add a couple of bosses in the first map, similar to how Black Myth Wukong does its progression, but like I have said earlier, Soulframe is different, as instead of dropping items that you can use after killing a boss, you will be rewarded with experience points, currency to craft items, and equipment blueprints. After that, you will need to farm crafting materials from chests scattered all over the map, and also can be found in the undercity of the game, so you can fully craft an equipment from the blacksmith. Like I have said in my previous video, it's a typical digital extremes free to play setup wherein you farm and grind for stuff instead of getting it after finally defeating a hard boss. While I wanted the open world to have more boss fights and interesting activities, I think it will never happen since digital extremes already decided the gameplay loop of the game. Now, there are gates in the first open map of the game, and I think it leads to the next map after completing specific objectives or the quest within the first map. I think this is the progression of the game, and it would be dumb to suggest something similar to Elden Ring or Black Myth Wukong if I haven't seen the full map and activities of the game. Take note that in the prelude, we only get to spend most of our time in one area, doing side quests, killing mini-bosses, and trash mobs after completing the main quest, which is defeating the Tormented Stag. I think that once we clear certain objectives or activities in one area, then we can proceed to the next art. I am hoping that it would be a different experience though. One of the main selling point of games like Elden Ring is that players find the boss fights rewarding and there are hidden secrets that are worth searching for all over the map. There could be puzzles those rewards awesome rewards, or there could be hidden caves that leads to a new explorable areas, and this is one of the best selling points of Souls game. I really think that it can be possible in the future that digital extremes can add features like this in the game, as it will definitely make the game more interesting and engaging. For now, I can't recommend much in the gameplay progression as I want to see the entirety of the game before judging it and making some helpful suggestions. What I can recommend to the developers is scrapping their skill and equipment upgrade system and making something that is more interesting. The basic gameplay of Soulframe right now is after completing the main quest, you will get rewarded with weapon and armor blueprints. Then you can also explore the open world and as well as the Undercity and open chests so you can get fragments as reward, which basically are pieces of blueprints that you need to complete so you can unlock and craft a specific armor or weapon. At the same time, you will hunt crafting materials to craft these equipments. I'm just glad that leveling your weapons and as well as you packed, which allows you to use magical powers, are way easier right now compared to the first time I have played the game. I got no complaints with leveling anymore, as just doing activities, especially the high level ones, will give a fair amount of experience points, leveling both weapons and magic easily. Another thing that I like about the leveling system is that it seems like weapon and magic both have share affinity, which means if you use your weapon to kill enemies, then you will get experience points for your pact and vice versa. What I find lacking is the upgrade you get from leveling magic and your melee weapons. When you reach a specific level, you then get to unlock a skill on a specific pact. Now, pacts are interchangeable, and every pact has 3 skills available. I think there will be more of this in the full release, and we will see stronger pacts made for the game. Aside from that, you will also earn points to upgrade your pact each time you level up. These are passive stat upgrades that increases the power of your pact skills or increases the base stats of your character. Honestly, I think they should also add upgrades that will alter the skills within a specific pact. Say, for example, there should be a perk in the upgrade that can turn the Seismer skill into a big rock boulder that explodes upon impact and the debris will damage nearby enemies. Or, the Tempest has Lightning Strike and there should be a node that will alter the Lightning Strike into something like Nimbus Cloud that will grow above and hit enemies with Lightning Strike. In my opinion, that would be an interesting upgrade, and it will be worth leveling each pact that we found in the world, as we can look forward on using new magics and upgrade it to better versions. Now, in the case of the melee system, there are also upgrades, but these are only passive upgrades to the melee weapon. I strongly recommend having active ones, especially that this is an action game. It would be nice if we see a node that upgrades a specific weapon and gives additional combo. For example, they could add an active skill upgrade for the shield wherein you will jump high and go crash into enemies afterwards, or they can also add an upgrade wherein you can do a frontal running charge attack with your shield. To make it short, I am suggesting to add more moves to the upgrade of the melee system so that melee usage will be more fun as we can do chaining combos with our attacks. Also, it would be cool if in the future they will allow us to combo melee attacks with our magics, given that we unlock a specific node and upgrade our melee weapon. Finally, I would like to talk about armor rewards in the game. Right now, armors are just cosmetics and they don't give any stats such as bonus health or armor. I really hope that in the future we can see armor and health bonuses in armors in Soulframe, and to make it more interesting, it would be cool to add armor effects bonuses. Say, for example, if you are equipping this Regalia armor set, then your Garen Rude Pact will have increased damage and range. Honestly, I can say that Soulframe is a very simple game right now and doesn't have any complexity to make it more interesting. The rewards are not that rewarding and the upgrades are so limited. But like I have said, said, Digital Extremes have plenty of time fixing the game, and I really hope that they will give it more years of development before releasing the final version. Again, I have said that the game has potential to be another masterpiece of the Warframe developers, but I really think that it needs more time in the oven. They could release it like the state of Warframe on its early days and continually update it with good stuff, but they should take note that Soulframe is a different game than Warframe. And they should learn from their experience that most of the Warframe community don't find the gameplay of Soulframe that interesting. It's a completely different game, and there is a high chance of the game flopping if they will release it half-baked. This is just my opinion, but I really think it would be better for Soulframe to get more years of development. Take this from a fan of both Souls game and Warframe. I really want the game to succeed and become another household name, but right now, it needs more than beauty to succeed.